FNAF fan games aren't all fun and dating animatronics. Some of them are downright horrifying, and some of them are about dating animatronics, which is kinda horrifying in a different way. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. This is Top 10 Gaming, and I am your host, Amanda McKnight. Today we'll be counting down the top 10 scary FNAF fan games ever. The scariest, at least thus far. Let's get into it. Number 10, Five Nights at Candy's. Five Nights at Candy's is another big FNAF fan game franchise, and this first one was simply the beginning of this spin-off franchise. Like some other games, Five Nights at Candy's also makes mention of Freddy's Pizza, but in this game, the restaurant no longer remains competitive because it's already been shut down. The design for Candy's and these animatronics also remains pretty frightening. Although I will say, I think overall FNAF is more scary if we're just talking about the first Candy's game at least. The main characters at Candy's are cat animatronics Cindy and Candy, but they also have lots of other disturbing and in some cases bizarrely cute friends join them. Like some of these animatronics are nightmare fuel, and then other ones I'm like, I kinda wanna be friends with that animatronic. Number 9, Five Nights at Flumpty's 2. I think one of the best things about Five Nights at Flumpty's overall is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. But the other thing that is really amazing about it is it's actually scary as well. It's like a parody game that will make you chuckle but will also haunt your nightmares at the same time. While the original game was more in the vein of Five Nights at Freddy's in terms of its formula, Flumpty's 2 pushes the envelope even more, resulting in a more weird and horrifying experience for players in comparison to that first game. Just look at the room you start in after all, like what is even happening here? I'm not exactly sure about everything that's going on, but I definitely know it's not good. I also just think the mechanics in the game really add to the level of paranoia you feel while playing, like the laptop restart, which you have to go through every time you fully exhaust your laptop battery while looking at the security monitors. So don't do that. Don't let your laptop die. Also, it's not good for your laptop. Real facts though. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you want to learn about more scary FNAF fan games, you know that there are so many. There are so many we could talk about. So be sure to let us know that you love it by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8, Pop Goes. Pop Goes has a new game that should be coming out with the FNAF extended universe with the FNAF Fanverse initiative. But while you wait, Pop Goes and Pop Goes Arcade are still available to play. I believe Pop Goes is where it all started, and it's a game created in the style of FNAF where you work at Pop Goes Pizzeria as a nighttime security guard. Pop Goes' main animatronic, you guessed it, is a weasel. A creepy weasel that throughout the night will sneak away to grab animatronic parts so that he can build his own horrifying creation. The game also features a panic meter which you have to keep low by looking out the window. Ah, so relaxing looking out the window. Watching the panic meter increase is enough to make me actually panic in this game. Number 7, Pork Chop's Horror Show. Pork Chop's Horror Show is an unreleased FNAF fan game where players attempt to survive a horror game show, risking their lives in exchange for the chance at winning fabulous money and prizes. The overall design of this game and characters look pretty terrifying, which is why, despite it not being released yet, many fans of the FNAF franchise were still excited to see and play it. Of course, it has been in development for a long time and has even been cancelled at least once, only for the promise of it to return to us, those of us who are eagerly awaiting its release. If it is ever released, it will be a combination of point and click mechanics and free roam. Until it does, we only have the stills, preview, and promise of it to keep us going. However, it is also part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. Scott Cawthon announced on Reddit that its developer Fiznom would be bringing an original reimagining of FNAF to the FNAF verse. Although this game wasn't necessarily listed, a lot of us are like, that's gotta be Pork Chop's Horror Show. So who knows, it could still end up happening. Keep those fingers crossed, my friends. Number 6, Those Nights at Rachel's. Is this game just a better FNAF game? In my opinion, sort of. In this game, you are a security guard at Rachel's where you must try to survive through the entire night shift and prevent the animatronics from attacking you. The game was made in Unreal Engine by the popular and accomplished FNAF fan game designer extraordinaire Nick Som, who also designed another horrifying FNAF fan game you may have heard of, The Joy of Creation, and others within that series. So yeah, that's the level we're at with this. Some of the animatronics featured in Those Nights at Rachel's I actually find more horrifying to gaze upon in comparison to the core animatronics from Five Nights at Freddy's. The other thing I love about this game in terms of the horror elements when it comes to the game's story is that it actually takes place in the same world as FNAF, at least in the story it's mentioned. Freddy's is mentioned as being a problematic restaurant down the street whose controversies and scandals are actually negatively impacting Doug's and Rachel's business as well. Good old Doug's and Rachel's. Number Number 5. Five Nights at Candy's 4. Because in the world of FNAF fan games, some of these games have become so popular, they've even created their own series of games. There is just a very real demand for really good FNAF fan games. And Five Nights at Candy's was one of the breakouts when it came to being considered one of the best. Despite the fact that I ranked the first game in the series a little bit lower on this list, it's only because each game has really only improved on the creep factor here. FNAF 4 is not released yet, but appears just from the stills and the teasers on its Game Jolt page to be one of the most terrifying in that series yet. Five Nights at Candy's has also been welcomed into the FNAF extended universe by Scott Cawthon himself, joining the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. Number 4. Final Nights 3. Nightmares Awaken. I think this one deserves to be so high up just for like the game's location. It takes place at a hospital and you must try to survive and somehow sleep while also dealing with Reaper animatronics, which is about as scary as you can imagine. Also, hospitals in general are just scary. In fact, it actually might not even be scarier than you're imagining if you haven't played this game before, so you need to go play it. Something as well about the idea of sleeping while all this madness is going on just breaks my brain in a way. Like, I don't want to sleep if there are things hiding in my closet. I don't want to do that. How am I supposed to sleep knowing that these Reapers are out there wanting to probably tear me apart? And every time I wake up, I'm probably gonna die. That's what's about to happen. I'm like, I can't sleep. Number 3. The Joy of Creation. The Joy of Creation is the game that started it all for this franchise. It was inspired by Boogeyman and FNAF 4. Here you play as Scott Cawthon himself fending off animatronics who seem to be attempting to scare and threaten you to encourage you, I guess, to make even more animatronics or even more games. The Joy of Creation has some very disturbing designs when it comes to the animatronics, and although the game is simple, it's very well put together. The character of Scott in this game also seems to be a bit like William in the sense that he also apparently has animatronics and is warned at the beginning of the game that if he doesn't replace the mainframes on his animatronics, they're going to be like a danger to those that they perform for. So he seems to also be a builder of animatronics. This game, I believe, was only ever developed as a demo before it was abandoned, but if you love it and you find it as terrifying as I do, you can check out the finished and remastered version, The Joy of Creation Reborn. Number 2. Five Nights at Treasure Island. Five Nights at Treasure Island was possibly one of the first fan games ever made based off of the FNAF franchise, and I gotta say, it's a pretty good one. It still holds up to this day. This one blended together the mechanics of FNAF with the oh so cursed world of Disney. At least we all like to imagine the world of Disney is cursed. I don't know how cursed it is in real life. In Five Nights at Treasure Island, you face off against animatronics at Old Treasure Island, which are Disney icons including Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Goofy, or really messed up versions of them. Another interesting and disturbing part of Treasure Island is that the animatronics, or toons in this case, are all super twisted in some way. Honestly, in retrospect, this game reminds me now of a combination of Bendy and the Ink Machine mixed with FNAF. Number 1. The Joy of Creation Story Mode. I feel like The Joy of Creation has elements of FNAF 4, but if it was like maybe even scarier. This fan game is meant to be a follow-up that goes through what happens after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now of course, this is a fan game, so none of this is really considered canon, but it does a great job of encapsulating the feel of the FNAF universe and the lore, which is why a lot of fans will sometimes even consider it as part of the world when reflecting on certain characters and certain stories. It just fits so well. What makes it scary? The sound design, the whole atmosphere, the creepy story, the animatronics. I mean, it's really got the whole package, which is why it's number 1. Which FNAF fan games are your favorites? Which do you find the most terrifying? Are there any that you think are even more terrifying than the FNAF games that inspired them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I am your host Amanda McKnight, reminding you till next time to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!